Oh man, I forgot that's the wrong intro. I forgot the no. No. I forgot the intro.
No.
Okay, there it is. Well, I think it's fair to say that I'm pretty excited. Why don't you guys come in here? Just get in here. Okay, so I got to say I'm probably the most excited I've been in quite a while to see a show. Look, I've enjoyed everything that everybody's put out, even though nobody else does. So, you know, for me, I've enjoyed everything, but not a lot of people do. And this is another example of, is this show going to save or destroy a franchise, right? Which is the ongoing malarkey that's being spread through the fandom. So I brought a couple friends, and we'll see if a couple more friends come in later. But yeah, man, it's been a while since I've been here with you guys. I've kind of taken a back seat to what's been going on and kind of watched the fandom and watched the environment around to see, what's what and who's who and what's going on. And I gotta say, it has been an interesting time to be a streamer, to be any kind of content creator, to be just a fan in general. There's a lot of distrust. There's a lot of muggles that like what's going on and don't understand why there's so much drama. So we're going to talk about a lot of that. We're also going to get into some strike stuff because not only has the writer strike been going on for a couple months now, but we also have the SAG actors joining, and many of them hitting the picket line, many of them making videos and posting them themselves to support what's going on. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't thinking about. So we're going to talk about that stuff. So let's get into it. Let's bring in some homies. First, the guy. Dan the man is here to grace us with his presence. He busy, and then there's
What's up, my dude?
Stevie's always making noise and being loud. So yeah, man. So I gotta switch this. I can't do it. There we go. I can't do it. I can't be in that first base seat. I just can't sit there.
First base.
So yeah. So look, there's a lot going on right now in the in the streaming communities. There's a lot of people leaving. A lot of people leaving YouTube. A lot of people leaving Twitch. A lot of people going to Rumble and Kick. So there's a lot of turmoil in the streaming space. But then in the communities, there's also a lot of turmoil. There's people picking sides. There's streams that go on that end because people take stuff personally. So there's groups that come and go. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the in the fandom. And then you have probably what I'm expecting to be is probably one of the best Star Wars shows to come out yet.
Ever?
I mean, yeah, maybe I'm a I know I'm a bit of a shill, right? I mean,
Since
that's my label, that's my role here in the space. I'm a shill. But
the best Star Wars show since Andor, right?
I mean, look, Andor was fantastic, man. If you really look at the quality of work that went into that, I mean, the budget was outlandish, number one. But if you really look at what they did with that show and where that show, the potential that show has to continue to tell a story that, I know why people didn't like that show. There weren't any lightsabers. There weren't any Jedi, right? There weren't any Sith. This was a story. If you liked Rogue One so much, how come you didn't like this as much? I guess
My cousin, who hasn't even he's into Star Wars, but not as much as into it as I am, he loves Andor.
Look, the Muggles loved Andor. I'm sorry to break the news to everybody that says Star Wars is dead, but the Muggles really liked Andor. The Muggles actually liked Kenobi. And Bobo, I really didn't get a good sense on that because there was a lot of weird shit that went on in that show. But ultimately, the record, people expect these shows to do cinematic numbers, right? They expect Disney Plus to have these huge numbers when it's just not built for that. They're building content on a new platform. This was also a big experiment for streaming content creator, or the big creators, Disney, Hulu, all of these people, Apple, Apple TV. These guys are building blocks to make this stuff bigger because they know that the days of cable and like all that stuff are basically gone.
Yeah, I mean, everything is on streaming now, and that kind of is what sort of led to the strikes in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh
It
no,
is what led to the strikes. Like,
I have a lot to say about that.
oh, we all do.
Well,
Trust
yeah.
me.
Let's just dive in head first because look, we could talk about all this other stuff all day, but ultimately this is the news of the day. And what people, let's start the conversation with the stuff people don't understand.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to tee this off with the stuff people don't understand. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, what are the odds that you are also a sports fan, right? Pretty good. There's a lot of us that are kind of nerds in both ways, but for instance, this strike that the actors, not the writers, but the actors that are striking, and why it was a unanimous decision, and there are so many layers to this. You guys have no idea the amount of layers that are involved in this. So I'm going to break a little bit of this down for you. Number one, the actors are not striking for their paychecks. These people make millions and millions of dollars to play these roles, whether it's a supporting role. I mean, shit, supporting cast members in these Disney and other shows get paid millions of dollars also, right? So it's not necessarily about their check. Everybody's talking about residuals. This is not a residuals conversation, right? Residuals are a whole nother part of this that is not this. The analogy I'm about to make is very much how I see this. So if you remember the baseball strike many years ago, the professionals in the major league were not striking for their paychecks. If you're a major league ball player, there's like a minimum that you're getting paid, and that's a very hefty amount of money. They were striking for the guys in the minor leagues that were getting paid dirt, beating the crap out of themselves for a chance to get to the majors, right? That's why the Major League Baseball went on strike for the duration that it did, was because the negotiations were not necessarily about their paychecks. It was about the little guys in the minors. This is the exact same conversation. This is the exact same thing that is happening in Hollywood right now. The mainstream actors are not bitching about their paychecks. Rosario Dawson isn't sitting on the picket line. She's got 2 hit shows coming out in a month, my guys, right? Haunted Mansion and Ahsoka are both coming out in the next 6 weeks. She is on the top of the list of people that are getting fucking paid. She is out there for the supporting cast members that are getting paid crap, and for the people that nobody's thinking about right now, the extras.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the big companies right now want to get their pictures from AI. They want to scan these people's photos for a ridiculously low amount of money and then reuse their images forever. That's a large part of why the actors are striking.
Yep.
Is because this conversation of okay, well, you're in the guild, you have to come. If you're an extra, you have to come and do this. This is mandatory now, which means you're getting paid a day rate or two to come and let them scan your face that they can then put in anything anywhere, and you're not getting paid a dime extra. That's what this argument is about. It's not about Rosario Dawson and all these other Mark Ruffalo and all these other SAG actors that are out there on the picket line. It's not about them. It's about the people that are on the screen behind them. supporting what they're doing in their starring roles, right? This is a way bigger argument than just the actors in
Than
Hollywood.
just residuals. Yeah.
The actors in Hollywood want more. They're so greedy. These woke fucks want more. No, dude. This is about something so much bigger than what you have an inkling of what's going on in there, right? That's why these actors, 98%. Do you know how hard it is to get 98% of any organization to agree on anything? And this guild, this actors guild, 98%, right? That's just a staggering number. Please, anybody.
I'll
Fran
step in too,
Drescher.
because I mean that costs so many jobs. Not to mention the fact that that's how people kind of build up to being able to be a Rosario Dawson or
But there are
whatever
some
the case.
people that just do extra work. There are people in Hollywood that
Yeah,
literally make their
that's
money
what I'm saying though. It's so
in the
many
back of
jobs.
Grey's Anatomy, or the people that are watching Vader drag a motherfucker through the street, right? Those are the people we're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. And something else that like I think of now that we're talking this much about the actors, and it's almost sad because I saw someone pointed out on Twitter like it's sad that the Writers Guild has been on strike for what, like 2 months now? Like they've
Going
been
on
on strike, yeah,
75 days.
75 days, and it seems like nobody really gives a fuck. Straight up. Sorry,
Oh,
sorry for my
here's,
language,
here's,
but then the actors go on strike and everybody's like, "Oh, go," like it's like, dude,
well,
where's the support for the writers?
well, and here's the fallout, right? Here's the fallout. The problem is that you can't. There's nothing in production with the writers gone. So your favorite shows that are on weekly, those shows are having real problems right now, right? Like Bill Maher's been off for months. This is his like he goes on break in the winter, he comes back hard in the summer, and he works, right? He can't do anything without writers because he's in the Writers Guild because he's listed as a writer on his show. So he can't even do his weekly talk show with the writers gone. So this ripple had started months and months ago, right? And then you get to now where the actors, now everything is shut down. Anything. They can't even come in and do pickups, right? They can't even go to photo shoots. Some of these guys said, I will not attend a red carpet event. I will not go to a premiere. I will not go to a dinner. I will not do anything that is related to promoting anything until this gets settled. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, so Fran Drescher, the nanny, some of you may know her as that. Others know her as the leader of the SAG president. She came through to the Atlanta's Guild, IATSE, that building yesterday where we were all at.
So
And
she went to the IATSE. She went to the IATSE? Okay,
she
right
did.
on.
She pulled up and told us pretty much how, yeah, since her day of, doing what, 24, 28 episodes a season, everyone was living good off that.
Yeah.
But now in days like The Mandalorian, where you got what, 6, 8 episodes, unless you're Pedro Pascal, bro, you ain't making a damn thing. Like, you can't make a living off of 10 episodes. It's just not, because the inflation now is like not helping matters either. Then you got the whole likeness thing with the AI and like just it in general.
Oh, and not just the photo AI. You're talking about vocal AI too.
Everything.
About
Luke Skywalker, your AI. That's what they want to do. Replace actors like Rosario, like extras. All of them will be robotic, and they're trying to weed all. But it's like, if you want to weed somebody out, weed out the fucking CEOs. Weed out Dave Zaslav. Weed out the decision makers. But not even pointing fingers at David, because they're here to make money for other greedy motherfuckers that's trying to make money. That's the real issue. And this is just the beginning. Like,
this goes, I mean, look, the strikes over the years streaming changed the game. These contracts had been in play for TV and movies for a generation of television acting, right? And TV and movie, just Hollywood in general, all of these contracts, right? Whether technicians, whether actors, right? Whichever side of the coin you were on, these contracts were set for a long time because they understood the game. The silver screen was a silver screen. The little screen was a little screen, and the actors that played on one didn't play in the other, right? Like if you were a big name movie actor, you stayed in the movie game. If you were a big name TV guy, the crossover was very minimal. Now the crossover back and forth is immense, right? But what changed the game is streaming, right? Netflix.
It's about subscriptions and
Net,
how many $1.99s you can make per sub.
well, exactly, right? So Netflix changed everything, right? And with those rules, these companies have been bending the rules for years. Well, this is just streaming. That's how they would talk about it. Well, this is just for streaming. It's a different contract because it's not in the stream. It's not in the main contract. This is streaming, and streaming was considered experimental still, right? So they didn't have to pay the wages that they had to pay for whatever, right? That's how they classified it. So that's where the crew strike, the IATSE strike happened last year before, was because the crew members were getting abused because they didn't have to follow the protocols for turnaround. People had passed away due to falling asleep behind the wheel on their way home at night. So things changed because streaming needed to be added to the language of the contracts. This is very much the same thing that's going on here. The language of the contracts needs to catch up with the times of today, right? So whether it's your face, your face being used for how long? Well, forever used to be the thing. Well, with these streaming contracts, how long is this going to be on your service before it goes to another service? Is your service going to pay the same as this service paid? All of this matters to these people because this is how they make their money, right? They're not consistently working like the rest of the muggles that walk around and go do their day job, whether you're at the bank or whatever. These people like me work when the work is there.
Exactly.
And so everybody thinks they're being woke, and this is Hollywood wokeness, trying to be greedy and more money, you baby eating whatever. Like, this is not what that woke shit is about. This is about the little people. This is not about the mainstream Hollywood producers, directors, all of that. This is about the little people.
Working class actors,
Yes.
people that you see on a show that you can't say their name for nothing, but it's like, oh, I know you. You were on that show. This is about those guys.
I mean, look, we have friends that literally sit in the backgrounds of shows that you watch, right? They get millions of views on television. You don't know their names, but they're there in the background without them. And not to mention how much are the companies going to mess this up and it look crappy, and then their image is on a crappy looking product, and then it's just it's too much, right? It's just too much. So that's what this is about. Like I said, if you're a sports person, the analogy is very much the baseball strike that happened years ago.
I was gonna butt in. Actually, it's the same thing with running backs in football. I mean, Josh Jacobs on the Raiders right now is potentially going to hold out Saquon Barkley for an entire year, like Le'Veon Bell did back in the day. And it kind of ruined Le'Veon Bell's career when he did it. And running backs don't get paid enough. They play for like 5 years in the NFL. They get, it's the most like dangerous position on your body other than playing an offensive lineman. And it's like they make this much money because they could just replace him and get another guy the next year. It's like, dude.
Well, they're not a marquee marketable player. You don't I mean, these are not the old days of football where guys like Emmitt Smith were marquee guys, right? Now with the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers and these big name quarterbacks and these big name wide receivers, it's hard to place,
for sure. The thing is, though, even with the top tier talent,
but you have
not
to be
paying
Barry
those guys.
Sanders nowadays. You have to be at the elite level, right? I mean, look at Barry Sanders as a prime example of underappreciated running backs, right?
Like, I mean, they're talking about one of the greatest dudes ever, but
well, I mean, but unless you're at that level, your name isn't remembered. You're not getting Pepsi ads. Is my point. It's the same thing. It's the same thing across everything in life. There are superstars that get the big paydays, whether you work in sales at a car dealership. There's one guy that just could sell a ketchup popsicle to a lady in white gloves, right? Just can sell anything. there's always going to be those people at the highest possible level, right? That are making the most money. This is when you have a union, when you have a guild, when you have an organization, there has to be some kind of equality for the little guys that are working sometimes just as many hours, if not more, than the main actors.
Shit, it was already bad enough for the extras working the 8-hour show. They, you know what I'm saying, dress you up, give you a 5-hour, 6-hour shoot, and then let you go right before that 8-hour mark hits, just so you don't get paid $100.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a game of dollar and cents. 100%. Hollywood, television, movie making, content making in general is a game of dollars and cents.
It's about longevity, man. Get
Right?
that revenue coming, because even the girl upcoming actress on P Valley, the leading actress on that show, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty much a strip show on Stars. Very good. I dropped off on the second season, watched the first season, but all in all, Shorty's residual check is a penny, like 1 cent, and the other two were like $3. And
But that's streaming also. That's where you're watching that, right?
yeah, on the
Yeah, yeah.
Stars app.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're watching it on an app. Streaming is classified different. So the amount of money that gets poured into whatever that check is different. That's why residuals from movies are different, because those are negotiated out and have long-standing contracts that have evolved with time, as well as television. Any television network, right? Not an app.
Dancers. Let's even take it out the equation of streaming for a minute. Freaking dancers that make the movement of the scene work. In the contract, they're labeled as background dancers that don't get paid a dime for their time at all. Come on. This is not, it's it quickly moved from just being about rights for every entertainer out there to pretty much every working class citizen of America, because everyone's trying to replace their laborers with AI.
Well, look, there's yes, AI is a tool right now, right? It is a tool that is being oversaturated, number one, because everybody wants to use it. But at the same time, there's a human element, I'm sorry, that you can't duplicate yet,
No,
right?
I don't know if you will be able to.
I look, at some point
Maybe.
we're all going to be living in VR headsets on little treadmills, so it's not going to matter anyway, right? But I understand where these people are coming from. Look, I live, I don't live paycheck to paycheck, but I live job to job. So for me, it's about when am I going to work next? It has nothing to do with wanting more, right? I have to navigate life in a different way than the muggles do, right? So this I understand where these people are coming from. Streaming changed the game. The reason that these strikes are happening is because streaming changed the game, and we need to have contracts for everybody involved in the production of these products, so that everybody gets compensated for their time in the proper manner.
Yes.
That's what these strikes are about, because streaming changed everything. Netflix, Hulu, Apple Plus, Disney Plus, Max, Showtime, Stars,
Everything now.
right? I mean, everybody's got an app. You have to include this, because I'm sorry, let's be real. These are business people. If they can cut a corner and save $1, they'll save $1.
Business people with poor business decisions.
Well, business people
I
that
would
are
say streaming, everybody jumping in on streaming doesn't really make sense either, because by the end of the day, not every single one of us can afford HBO, Hulu, Amazon, like all these different things. It's like, you guys are ridiculously stupid if you think this is going to work for you. And now they've put themselves in the position where they're willing to screw everybody else for their poor decision making. It's like,
and that's why cable still hasn't gone anywhere. That's why there's still, these dish companies and this other stuff, because not everybody is on board to paying. Now, look, if you cut out cable completely and you only stream and you pick the apps that you want, yeah, it kind of gets equal. but you're sacrificing little stuff here and there.
Yeah, and then the companies that don't get picked, like, they're gonna suffer. It's like,
here's the we've talked about the
issue.
The issue. Here's the consequence. When the writer strike has been happening for 75 days, the talk shows and the stuff like The View, stuff like that, group talk shows, group shows, stuff like that. All that stuff, the writers are on strike. So there's no writers to facilitate monologues, stuff like that. So some shows are just not on the air. Then you have, now, except for news. News is the only exception to the rule because news doesn't fall into the same classification. So those writers are still at work because they're classified under journalism.
There is one show that's still making it through SAG. Angel Studios, that show about Jesus, the what was it called? The Chosen is still going. They're filming the 4th season in Utah, New Zealand, somewhere right now because they got exempt from the whole thing, not because of religious reasons, but if you look it up, they said that they, filed all the proper paperwork and
with the higher power
and got the okay to keep going.
So no SNL. This is a great example. People love SNL worldwide. No SNL. There's no writers. You can't perform if you don't have writers. They're not just going to let these people go on the cuff and sit on the stage and go buck wild. That shit ain't happening. They rehearse that show. Look, you get a Saturday night show live, they rehearse that show 4 days before that. Okay? There are portions of that, whether it's the band, whether it's the choreographers, whether it's the actors rehearsing the skits, whatever it is, they've been rehearsing for 4 days. So Saturday night was great. There's probably a weak ass rehearsal Saturday day, right? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. They're working from Wednesday to Saturday to get y'all, and the writers are working every goddamn day.
No, they don't get no days off. Yeah.
No SNL, no. I mean, none of these talk shows. Like I said, the one that I can say I know because I know Bill Maher's schedule because I enjoy his show. I know Bill Maher, right? No SNL. None of these shows can do anything with the writers down. Now that the actors are gone, now SAG's involved, everybody's down. Right? Steve Harvey's show, Judge Judy, right? All of these shows, anything that's live, you're out. Aside from the news, you're done. Put it on the bench. Better get some old content to watch. Here's the worst part. Any show that was in production, in the middle of production, is stopped dead. So this is not great for any show that you want any kind of continuity with the actors, right? Think of Mark Hamill in Empire. Goes and gets his face all torn up. You got to rewrite and figure out a way for his torn up face to be in the movie. Same stuff here. What if something happens to Cassian Andor's character, right? The guy who plays Andor. They're in the middle of production, right? Things happen and things change. This is not good for production on any scale, large or small. So anything that was in the middle, hiya. Anything that was in pre-production, getting ready to shoot, hiya, right? Chop it, right? Everything stops. The wheels stop now.
Yeah, I saw John Mitchell earlier in the chat said 2024 we got Acolyte, Andor season 2, and Bad Batch. Bad Batch probably, but I was going to say the rest of them.
Voice actors are down too.
I don't know. Well, yeah, that's true.
Voice actors are on the bet. You can't sit in your house and go and read a script because guess what?
They're probably done with most of it, but then the writers and everybody are probably super involved with post-production.
I saw something with Comic-Con with the Spider-Man actor, Yuri Lowenthal. He said that he'll still be in attendance and that the video game stuff is kind of, that they're not a part of the SAG yet. He made sure to put that yet in there. So it's probably, they're probably going to get shut down at some point. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean,
right now.
Or they unionize. That's the other thing, is this is a great opportunity for the gaming industry to jump in and be like, we want to unionize.
Yeah.
Right? This
They
would be a
should.
great opportunity, and they should, because there are now, with the mocap, with so much mocap going on in gaming, they need to be part of it, because there's actors, there's technicians, there are all these people that are still working as if it's a movie.
There was some shit going on in the contracts that they told James Cameron no for the mocap stuff. And that's why you don't see too much mocap going on outside of those sci-fi projects. It's like, but that's art. We're making art. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're making art, but you need to compensate the people that are making art for you, right? You may
Exactly.
you may be the artist with the vision, but the brush is doing the work, right? Every bristle on that brush gets you to the final product.
That's how you get pearly whites.
Look, man, I am a big look. I believe in right to work. I believe if you don't want to join a union, don't join a union. You do you. I did it for years. Ultimately, this is about the little guy. And so the fact that the studios are having to pay rent on places that are like, you don't understand the trickle down of this for even productions losing money is huge, right? If you have a set that's built on a set stage, these set stages are calendared out, right? These set stages are calendared out, just like the director, right? Like the Rogue One Patty, right? Patty Jenkins is like, oh, I can't do Rogue Squadron because I'm doing Cleopatra and I'm doing Wonder Woman and I'm doing all these. She's like, I got my years chopped out. I can't do it. This happened, or our strike happened and pushed stuff back. And she's like, well, now Cleopatra's gone, right? This is also the same thing with studio space. This is a large reason why Apple wants to buy Disney. It's all about studio space, time in the studio to get your stuff going. So right now, this affects the bottom line for the studios. The studios are going to start pushing SAG and are going to start pushing WAG to get these contracts going, because now these studios are paying. If you have a set built in a studio, you're eating rent right now. And then can you get an extension because the next project is already in line after you? So how does this mess up your schedule now? Right? The only people that are making out on this are the studios, the people that own the studio space, because they're like, they're going to extend.
Pull up
right?
that was Steve's question.
What's that? Where are you at, Steve?
The
Okay,
last
question. How far will shows in post-production right now get us this year? Like when the strike or TV show at this point? Okay. The technicians are still allowed to go in and edit and cut and do anything that is technical, that does not require an actor or a writer, right? So anything that is already in the can,
Shot.
100% ready to go to hit the editor's bay and start chopping it up.
Yeah.
That is 100% in the mix. Now, here's the hook. If you have to if they need any kind of pickups, any kind of voiceover, any kind of fixes for that, whether it's the actor coming in and doing VO, if it's an animated show, the actors cannot come in and do anything like that.
Yep.
That's when it
SOL.
holds up post-production. So this is damaging in the fact that if there's anything additional that needs to happen, the answer is no. Bottom line. Now, if it's already in the can, no changes need to be made. All you have to do is cut it in a timeline, put it out, slap it together, put some credits on, and out the door. You're in like Flynn. But that doesn't happen a lot. If you're a content creator, if you ever edited something and then watched it on the big screen and you're like, oh my God.
Every time.
Right. We've all done it. You've done it.
Y'all know you ain't right.
So that's the holdup, Steve, is that if things like that happen, we are in a space right now where nothing can get done.
And this is only the beginning, ladies and gentlemen.
And if it needs a rewrite, forget it. They've already been on for 75 days. If it needs a rewrite of any kind of dialogue changes, any of that, chop it.
Yeah, Marvel is truly screwed because they do that every freaking time.
The last strike was the IATSE strike for television. So the last strike was the technicians.
Just like a year ago, right?
On strike like a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. The last strike was a WAG strike, I believe. These two. Here's another thing that hasn't happened in years. This is the first time that WAG and SAG have been on strike together
since the 40s.
Since the 40s, right? So this is big, man. This is a really big deal. Yeah, last combined was 60 years ago. Thank you, Hawks. Yeah, I mean, look, during the Reagan eras, the last time this happened, an actor was president. Like an actor was playing a president or some shit like that. Like Reagan was acting, not president. He was an actor in SAG. If that puts any context to you, right? Like, I don't even do, okay, like, I know I'm old as shit. Dan, you're old as shit too, right?
I'm getting there.
Okay, you remember Reagan in office, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you weren't even born yet, were you?
I'm 25 right now. No,
I don't think so.
Wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Just Shivi's like, who's Reagan?
No, I was like, Dan does not look that much older than me. He's only a year older than me. I'm like, what you talking about?
I'm about to say, aren't me and Shiva, we're like in the same Gen Z category. What the fuck?
Reagan. I remember Reagan.
Okay.
I remember Reagan. And
I know everybody talks about Reagan.
Own VHS tapes and say that was a thing, but
yeah. I remember Reagan being president. And let me put it this way. Reagan was an actor when the last time WAG and SAG, like a legit actor in Hollywood, the last time these two went on strike together. So look, it's a big deal. Streaming has changed the space. First and foremost, there's nothing else that we could say about it. That's why everything is happening right now, is because streaming is changing everything.
That boy Steve, you are just getting in your prime, bro. If you're just turning 3 decades,
man, my 30s were so underutilized. Like, use your 30s, man. Use your 30s. Look, here's what I always tell people. I'm gonna start doing this
life advice with Bert.
We're gonna do pearls, okay? This is called pearls of wisdom. Your 20s should be party town, right?
I'm gonna make Mafia feel old as hell.
That
boy was a senior when I was born. It's just now getting started. What the fuck?
But your 20s should be like, you should party hardy your early 20s. Your late 20s, you should start to throttle off the party and start to figure out like how you're gonna make money. And your 30s should be nothing else other than making money, right? Your 30s should be a flex on making money the whole way through. From the time you turn 30 to the time you turn 40, you should be on the gas, flexing, figuring out how to make the most money as hard as you can. And then your 40s, I'll tell you about that when I'm over those. But
see, this is free game right now, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone that's under 30 in the chat. If you
you need to be, look, under 30, you need to be making money. You need
That's
to be
it.
Forget about, look, have fun.
Putting that shit away.
I use my late teens and early 20s for the party and bullshit.
See, I did also. I've been hustling since my mid 20s, right? Like I've been hustling. Like I don't know what vacations are. I don't know what work. I work on. Look, last year I worked on Christmas and New Year's. I worked on my birthday. I worked on the 4th of July. I worked on Halloween. I think the only one I didn't work on last year was Thanksgiving.
Come on,
right?
Man.
The one holiday I really don't care about, right? Is I don't really care about the food, but my point being is that I work. So since my mid 20s, I've been hustling. I've been hustling for like 18 years hard because I want to enjoy my old age.
That's what I'm doing now in my grind time for that 2022 to 2025 arena. I've been using that to really get this thing, the film thing going, man. Because right now I'm non-union, but the goal is to join WGA and SAG, but under the pretenses of the New Deal. Right now, Dan is still a free agent. We just got.
Sign my man.
You said what?
I said sign my man.
Sign him.
Do it. Tell.
Recruit him.
Yes, sir. Y'all are good supporters of it. So do it now. What Darth Weapon say?
In the dungeon! Turn around in the dungeon! Thought you ought to know.
Yeah, man, hustle while you can, because it's the world. And look, life catches up to you, so you got to hustle while you can. Look at George. George put all his nuts into creating a universe that everybody laughed at him. Right? That's how you know you're doing it right. Right? You know you're doing it right when the rest of the world is laughing at you. Right? Look at Bezos. Right? Look at Musk. Look at all of these. Look at Jobs and Woz. All of these guys, the world was laughing at them. Right? George Lucas, the world was laughing at him because nobody understood his vision. And here we are all these years later. Right? So hustle, do you. Man, don't let people tell you you can't. There's nothing that infuriates me more and pushes me more to do something than somebody telling me, I bet you can't do it. Like, boy, I will. I'm going to do it out of spite now. Watch. So
Use that shit as fuel.
you do. Fuels the fire, man. So let's talk about. I haven't talked about it with any of you guys yet. Let's talk about Ahsoka. So everybody has seen the trailers. Yes, everybody's caught up. Everybody's broken down and seen everybody's breakdown, and all that fun stuff is done, right? Okay. So the consensus is this show is going to kick ass. But let's go. I've kind of figured some stuff out here through watching these trailers, right? The one thing I figured out is that the entire duration of time between the end of Rebels for us, when we first get the cinematic ending of Rebels, to now.
Remember, this is a non-linear story, my friend. We're going to see that in the Rebels in live action in Ahsoka.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So the assumption has been that Ahsoka gets to Lothal and goes straight to see Sabine at the mural. That's what all the assumptions were, that was the first time they'd seen each other, right? At the mural. Now, we back up, we see this trailer, we find out there's a whole Kanan moment. We find out, actually, there's an entire lightsaber battle before that moment. Oh, everybody just did the puppy.
I know. I'm listening. I'm listening because
Wait.
she has the. So
I saw everybody, all 16 people in the chat went.
That was.
I'm with you though.
Okay, so
keep going because I want to compare notes.
So, I mean, I could bring stuff up if you want, but and I you know me, I like to show my receipts. So I'm going to bring out some receipts because I
had them too.
Are you referring to her fight with Marok, the Inquisitor?
No, I'm referring to her fight with Shin.
Sabine's fight with Shin.
That. Sabine's a Jedi. Looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, look, we've I was having this conversation with some good old friends the other day, and it's not an unlikely scenario to have a late arrival of Force abilities. Look at Rey. Everybody hates
Or
Finn, right? Everybody hates the examples. There's Luke. Luke is another prime example. You want to go old school. Luke's abilities don't show up till he's 19 ish. So I mean, this is not an unheard of phenomenon.
I'm gonna butt in because, as far as I understand, everyone in the Star Wars universe has the Force within them. Every single living being.
Everybody has metachlorians. Correct.
Yeah, every living creature in the Star Wars universe is connected to the Force. As far as I understand, it's mainly about how many midichlorians and how connected you are to the Force, like in terms of how open you are to it, which Sabine, already being born and grown up as a Mandalorian, is not open to it. She's very closed off to it, and we see that multiple times throughout Rebels. How Ezra all the time is like, Mandalorians are crazy, you know what I mean? And then Sabine's all like screw this Jedi stuff when she's training with Kanan, and he's even telling Hera like she's so stubborn and arrogant and like, you know, closed off to the Force.
What?
So if she is training under Ahsoka, which I got receipts proving that she is, she part of the issue here is probably that she's closed off to the Force because of how Mandalorian she is, and I believe that she's probably been through a lot of traumatic experiences since the last time that we've seen her.
Okay, so the consensus is that so let's get to some receipts. Okay. So let's mute that and we'll pause that sheet. Okay. So we're gonna get into some receipts real quick, and I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're gonna let's add some screens. Let's add some screens.
Let's
All right.
get it. Where the
All right.
party at?
Ooh.
So wrong one. Let's add some screens.
Say, boy, chat is mad at you right now.
Why would I do?
Hawk said he being ignored. Nerd Mafia been trying to get in.
Yeah, I know. Hawk, I sent Hawks a link. I don't know why he says he's being ignored. I sent him a link.
Oh, so it's y'all that can't get right.
I sent him a link already. I don't know.
He sent y'all the link.
He's not below.
I sent
He's
him.
not. He's not in purgatory.
Oh, hey, girl. Hey.
What up?
That's who I want to see. Bring Leia, the faceless woman, up here. I don't even know what she looks like.
Okay, well, I have a new rule. I don't know if anybody has known this, but I have a new rule on my stream. I have to see your face. No more avatars. Star Wars Meg is the only exception. But that's my new rule. What do you think? What do you think of that new rule, my guy? You're here. You're here at the top of the food chain. That's it. You're here. You feel ignored. I'm gonna go to the bottom of the food chain because I belong down here, slumming it. But what do you think about my new rule? I think if you're gonna want to be on stream, you got to be on stream.
I think
I love that rule. And no masks. No masks.
Oh,
either.
no mask. No, I agree. I mean, unless you want to have a helmet day, like I'm down to have a helmet day. Like I'll put on one of the helmets behind me.
Are we doing it?
You just any opportunity to break that thing out, you're like, yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's my new thing. No,
I still need one that fits, bro.
We're all family in this place. Like, let's be real. We're all people in this space. My community is a different kind of community. We don't we try not to have that negative shit going around. So yeah, that's the new rule, just because I think it's fun.
I missed you guys.
Hey, dude.
For that reason, I'll just say.
Look, I'm real. I can't forget where we come from. So that's my new rule. Look, you can turn it off because I do a lot of this, right? Because I need sometimes I need to go, to the bathroom or something, or like, gotta get up, and I don't like you to all see how fat I really am. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna take a vote real quick in the private chat. So I need you guys to take a look in the private chat before we get going on our receipts. I'm glad Hawks is here for the receipts. He likes his
breaking trailers down.
He does. He loves receipts, and I'm all about receipts. So please answer in the private chat if you could, please. I encourage it. Okay, so let's get into receipts. So here's the start. Let's start where we all thought this was going to begin. Okay, so initially we all believed that this was going to be the scene, right? That we first see Sabine and Ahsoka. This is the first time they've seen each other because of, and I'm gonna roll back, right? I'm gonna show all of my cards so everybody can judge me properly. Okay, so we see Baby Syndulla. We get this scene right here. We see Ahsoka flying in. And I think Dave might have changed things here. We know Dave likes to retro his own retro, right? Kanan's youth is an example of him changing canon a little bit to wedge into what he's designing here. All right, so this is where the controversy kind of starts. So here we see Sabine with short hair. right? And then we see Ahsoka's ship fly in, right? And we also see this exact same frame in the trailer, but she's got long hair, right? So this is the number one controversy that's going on right now. However, and then we go to the end and we see the same thing, short hair Sabine, right? So here we go. Now we jump over
To the trailer.
to the trailer.
Show me.
Okay. And
Bay.
we get
Or was
through-
it say babe?
where?
Her helmet says babe in Arabic.
Oh,
I thought you were after.
No, she's a babe. She's
I
a
was
babe.
like, what are you telling me, guy? I know we're close.
She can be
Damn,
Bay too.
girl.
I mean,
Damn girl, damn. Okay.
Oh no.
So we get this shot. Same shot.
Yep.
Same framing, right? Can I go back to the other tab? Same note? Okay. I'm gonna
Yep.
in fact, I'm gonna go back to the other tab that's got the same framing,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Her in the armor.
easy. They're just extensions, and she was testing out the look, bro.
I was about to say
not that deep.
thank you because I was starting to put all of this together myself anyway, and I had an idea of how it worked, but
Or
the
maybe
differences in these were kind of screwing with my brain. So
Mm.
thank you for
I
Okay.
mean, we do see her with short hair later on, so maybe.
Okay. Well, hold on. Don't get ahead of me, Dan. Don't get ahead. Don't get ahead of
It's
me.
my fault.
Let's not let the train run away with us.
I
Okay.
blame this guy first.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're still allowed to be here. Okay.
We're good.
Okay. So we get into this shot. Now these are the same. Okay. We're just gonna jump back and forth between this. These are the same, right? Same shot in theory, right?
Mhm.
Now here's where things get a little screwy. We see a meeting between these two, and Sabine has long hair.
Right.
And then we have a scene here, again, Sabine with long hair. We fast forward a little bit. There's a little bit of crap talking. Sabine with long hair. Now, notice the outfit. Very much like Ezra. Very much same color scheme. She's on Lothal. She's in his apartment, right? She's listening to his message. But then they give us this scene in Beskar doing the Kanan and cutting her hair in front of an altar. Very Jedi. Oh, very Jedi. Oh. But then we go a little further in and we get this moment here with short hair. Back to the original timeline of Rebels. Now,
That looks just like it now.
it looks if you're a My Cousin Vinny fan like I am, identical. Right? Identical.
Yes.
Now, we move a
Yeah,
little
same.
further forward in the trailer, not in the timeline, and we get this scene, short-haired Sabine in Beskar. This is not on Lothal, right? But then they
I think
give us,
that's the planet where Ahsoka went to confront what's her name the first time.
we are correct. Yes. Okay. So then there is this, where are you, babe? Where are you? You know you're in here. There's a scene with Shin and Sabine that tells you everything you need to know about time. Is it in this trailer? Is it in this trailer?
I don't know, man.
I think it's in the.
I think
I
it's
don't, it's been a little bit since.
I think it's in the first trailer.
Wait. Which conversation?
Where are we at? Hawks, you have the ability to put stuff up. Oh, let me check the private chat real quick.
See the
Private
photo?
chat says, JK. Okay. Let's so not Journey to Ahsoka. It was the older trailer. Here we go. It was this trailer. So
That part, Sabersmith, exactly.
yeah, Scotty, you have control. You can put up a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
While I'm fishing.
I'll
Is
do
it
it,
this
I'll do it.
trailer? I didn't think we got that much Sabine in this trailer, did we?
I feel like this is the most we got of her.
In the second trailer or the first trailer?
The second trailer.
No, yeah, this is the first trailer
This is
he's
the first
showing them.
trailer, okay.
I think the second trailer has more Sabine. That's what I was trying to
This
say.
is what I've been saying. I think they cut this trailer
You went
a
back to the teaser.
very specific way so as to have it live rent free in a lot of particular fans' heads.
Well,
Especially the line about Sabine and her ability.
Okay, well, here. As soon as we find the final receipt that I'm talking about, here's the
You're looking for their fight, right? I got you.
I'm just looking for the Shin Ahsoka or the Shin Sabine moment. There is a.
That's the second trailer.
I thought this was the second trailer.
That's the first one. That's the second one.
Okay, so we're only gonna play through until we find it. Let me know when we find it. Okay, so basically, there's this moment that we're about to show is going to put all of the time in context. So what I believe happens is Ahsoka comes to Sabine for help, and Sabine tells Ahsoka to fuck off. Right? You were here, and my homie, we were people. We were supposed to be fighting this fight together, and you abandoned me. You left me high and dry on Lothal, taking care of this place that Ezra loves so much by myself. Whatever the argument is, whatever it is, whether she has a problem with Sabine having Ezra's lightsaber, whatever the argument is, there's an argument that happens between these two. The first time Ahsoka flies in, which is here, they have their conversation, they get in their argument, and then Ahsoka leaves. And that's when Shin shows up because she's tracking Ahsoka. So she tracks Ahsoka to Lothal and then eventually finds Sabine at Ezra's place. Right? That's my theory. Then after Shin shows up, has this battle with Sabine, Ahsoka comes back and Sabine is ready to go. She's ready. She knows what's up and she's ready for the fight. That's my timeline.
I'm like lagging. I don't know what's happening with me. I definitely agree with where you're going with, and I think I have a little bit more context.
They have a second fight. This is their second fight.
Yeah.
When Sabine's got the eye of the tiger back, right? She's mad, she's angry, and that's the Sabine you don't want to piss off, right? And that's the Sabine we see right here at this moment. This is their second fight. So this is like Rocky Apollo 2, right? If number 1 ended in a draw, this is Rocky Apollo 2. And for you guys, that's the prequels to Creed for the young pups.
Anakin spoke highly of you. I love that line.
Yeah. Me too.
And that just shows that.
So to
go
piggyback off of her leaving her twice theories and things like that.
No, just leaving her once, I think.
Well, so hear me out, because I think Ahsoka is going to need to take that Jedi journey first, because she's not certain of what the future holds or how they're going to get Ezra back or what's up with Thrawn. I think she is going to leave Sabine there for a time, and that's when we'll see like the temple, the Malachor stuff, the Ahsoka maturity kind of part of the arc, and then maybe that's when she returns to her and she has the robes on with the staff, etc. But we didn't see her. We have not seen her live action with the robe, right? Hasn't been in any teasers.
No.
Right. So I think there will be multiple moments where she leaves the planet, comes back, and that's where the animosity is.
Here, let me get this
because
out.
Sabine's ready to go now.
Don't say it. The thing with a little thing on Baylan here, Anakin's was mostly close with two people, a good lad named Kenobi and Padme. Throughout most of the Clone Wars,
Rex and Ahsoka too, but for sure.
I was gonna say that Ahsoka leaves, post Ahsoka leaving him. In that time between she comes back and her leaving, that's probably when he was vulnerable enough to let more Jedi in, including Baylan, on how he's feeling. Because we don't know anything about that time frame. So maybe that's how Baylan and Anakin's friendship happened.
Well, but Anakin was also very you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say powerful, but he was very admired in the council amongst
amongst the
regular Jedi,
Jedi. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And he spoke of Ahsoka often, right? Like he talked about Ahsoka all the time, and how, I mean, look at how he
I
was.
agree with Dan, actually. Not to cut you off, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, it's fine. No, no, no,
because
you're good.
because I totally think that, like, I didn't really think about this too deep either, but honestly, it makes sense that it would have been after the Ahsoka time period, because otherwise she probably would have been with him,
Right.
and or she wouldn't have been his apprentice at the time. So it was probably after that, and during, like, a little bit before he turned dark, and he probably told Balin about her because he's probably thinking about her all the time between her and
Exactly.
Padme, and there's a lot of unfinished Clone Wars arcs and scenes and stuff where Obi-Wan and Anakin even have a conversation about him kind of missing Ahsoka or feeling like he kind of failed her in a way. And I think a lot of fans that are big fans of Clone Wars and everything contribute a portion of him turning to the dark side with her leaving the Order, and kind of the Jedi, how the Council kind of handled that whole situation. It really kind of broke Ahsoka on terms of her trust of the Council, and then it also broke Anakin's trust with the Council too, to the point where, by the time we get to Revenge of the Sith, he's already like buddies with Palpatine and everything, and that's why they ask him to spy on him, and he's like, oh, like,
Dude,
the Council's crazy.
Wouldn't it be crazy if the highly that he's talking about is the conversation that Anakin has with him about her leaving and him agreeing with her decision?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's
That's
probably
that just plants the seed in Balin's head. He's like, yeah, dude,
that's probably
there's some
exactly
weird
what
shit
it
going
is.
on here, Anakin. I agree.
Right
I
before
agree.
Order 66 too,
Yep.
or like a couple
Yep.
weeks or something. Like,
He's gonna plead into Ahsoka's guilt, which will make her
Because it's like,
vulnerable.
why does Shin hold the braid still?
And then after,
Like, that's a big question. Why not just cut that shit off?
that's when Force Ghost Anakin comes through and absolves her of all her guilt, guaranteed. At the
well,
end.
so that's my whole thing, to bounce off of Obsession's like kind of predictions of how this is all happening. My biggest question from the trailer is, how the hell long has Sabine been the apprentice of Ahsoka? Because it was actually, and to bring up actual freaking receipts, because I didn't believe it at first. StarWars.com literally says in their little thing about the new trailer, and I could pull it up if you guys want, but it says, finally, we've come to an understanding more about the strained master and apprentice relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine Wren. So they have been training together. And I think the most important line in this entire sequence in this trailer is when she's talking to Hera and she says, Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him just like I walked away from Sabine.
Right.
And at the time, I'm like, well, like, this kind of either means that she was training her before this and we just haven't seen that yet, or something happened. And I honestly think it's possible she could have found out, maybe from Luke Skywalker in the encounter that we've never seen yet, what happened to Anakin, and she felt like she couldn't train Sabine because of the fact that Anakin fell to the dark side due to his connections and different things. And obviously he was redeemed eventually, but like the fact that he was vulnerable, and that could even be why she was like, I'm not going to train Grogu because he's attached to you. Like, I think that that's all part of it. And she could have walked out at Sabine at the absolute worst time, when the Siege of Mandalore happens, or the Night of a Thousand Tears. And that would have made the impact of this whole master and apprentice relationship just that much more deeper. And I think it would be perfect storytelling with how Dave tells everything for this to be how it's all going down. And so she left Sabine just like she left Anakin before Order 66. And now Sabine's going through the same thing where she thinks most of her people are now dead. And so it's possible, in my opinion, that Sabine's family could be dead, or at least portions of them, whether it's her brother, her mother, her father, because they were likely on Sundari fighting against the Empire with Bo-Katan, who they were homies with. And so it's possible we get to this point where Sabine is depressed, isolated, lost Kanan, lost potentially her family in Mandalore. Ezra's gone. Ahsoka walked out on her, and she's like, comes back, and she's like, yo, these two dark side users are going to find Thrawn. Thrawn is coming back. You know how big of a deal this is. And she's just like, screw you. And then she gets to a point, to your point, where she's like ready to come back into the fight after she ends up having to go head against them. And so that's honestly how I think this is starting to go. And it makes a lot of sense to me. And I didn't think that Sabine would be the apprentice of Ahsoka before this or at any point. Like, how are you supposed to know that? But
to help with that, and and your theory a little more, it's very possible that that training period between Ahsoka and Sabine happened during X amount of time in Rebels when she was training with Kanan with the Darksaber, and we just didn't see
Ahsoka was in the world, technically in the world between worlds.
Well, I mean, even
before she got lost in the world between worlds, Ahsoka joined the team between season 1 and 2.
Right. It also it goes to say that Sabine's training was basically handled by Kanan the entire time that they were training for that Mandalorian fight with the Darksaber.
Allegedly.
I think the idea is that after Ezra and Thrawn are gone, we don't know how many years after this is. They haven't really put the timeline into. I can't find this. I can't find that scene again. I've watched this thing a dozen times right here.
The fight between them?
Just the scene with her and Shin.
That might actually be in the first one. Now that I think about it.
What are you looking for? A line, a moment? Like, we know what was said.
I got it. There's a scene basically where Sabine is standing in front of Ezra's house and she takes out the saber. It's the first time we see it. She's got long hair and Shin standing in front of her. That's the scene. That's the part I'm looking for.
That's when she first ignites the saber.
Yes. And I have a still of it, but I'm looking for it in the trailer because I'm trying to timestamp it. I can't find it. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, that moment right there puts the whole time arc into perspective, right? Because you see her fighting Shin on Lothal with Ezra Saber with long hair. All of a sudden, the next thing we see is her with short hair fighting Shin on the same planet Ahsoka was on before, where she met the magistrate. I can't remember.
Well, I think that scene was in the leak, bro. That's probably why you can't find it.
It came out in another trailer.
First video that comes up. Okay, maybe, I don't know. First video that came up was
the journey to
pre-recorded
Ahsoka.
of a recording.
Maybe I don't remember.
Okay.
But we know the scene for sure.
Anyway,
so you're saying that takes place.
It would probably
you think you know when that takes place? You said?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So basically, here's
she has long hair.
We see Ahsoka show up, right? The first time, which Sabine has long hair. They have a conversation. Long time no see. Master, you're a dick. Thanks for leaving. Ahsoka leaves. Shin shows up after Ahsoka leaves because they're hunting. They're hunting Ahsoka, right? Shin and Baylan are hunting Ahsoka. They find Sabine. Sabine happens to have a lightsaber. Boom, boom, boom. They fight. Shin obviously kicks that ass. Maybe Baylan says, "We're not here for her. Let her go." And next thing you know, Ahsoka comes back. Why can't I
can't find it either.
Why is it not in my trailer? I don't understand why that. I've been looking at 17
This
seconds.
is Begin. It's called Begin.
Oh, it's like a short one.
This is the older trailer, right?
It's like a mini one that they threw out at one point
okay.
with to show the saber.
Right here. Long hair.
So we also think that this is Kanan.
No,
I do.
No,
You guys agree?
I do.
No way.
I was just thinking about it because how
Okay.
poetic
I
would it
think
be
so,
if
too.
it's Ezra's versus Kanan's lightsaber?
Bro, look.
Kanan's lightsaber blew up on the dome on Lothal. It never made it to Thrawn's ship. It never made it. Price had it. It's not the same design. We have been down this road.
If Price had it, then it didn't blow up.
Price died in the dome.
No.
I don't know, man.
Price died in the dome. Looking out.
Hey, if it survived the first explosion, I'm sure it could survive the second one.
It didn't survive any explosion. He lost it
when
to
Kanan blew up.
He lost it to Rook on the dome.
Dang it. No.
And it fell down, and a citizen found it and brought it to the Imperials, and then it ended up in Price's hand, and she left it in her office because she said, "This is for Grand Admiral Thrawn." Yeah.
She left it in her drawer.
She left it in her
on
office.
the left-hand side.
She left it in her office And then because Thrawn never made it back, like she didn't
Hey
send a
man,
carrier.
how did they find Luke's saber? We never
It
got
was
that
in
in.
the, it was in the trash compactor. That's a different. That's
People
a different,
don't read comics, Sheev. You know this.
Don't
the
you mean
trash-
Yoda's saber? The fuck?
the second one or
Which
the first one?
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah. Which one?
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
he had like 50 sabers in his old age.
I'm telling you, Dave
I'm
is
talking about
open
the
to
digital copy that Luke gave Grogu.
Lived an eighth of a lifetime of Yoda, but Yoda can't have more than one.
And,
I'm
and
telling
who
you.
do you think came up with the digital copy? Dave did. So I'm
But
telling you,
look,
digital copy of Kanan's saber.
what I'm saying is this arc is perfectly well timed.
Everybody say a
orange.
prayer right now because all y'all going to hell. Say a prayer. Everybody. Right
I mean, look, it's everybody
Kyber
wants
crystals are breeding.
everybody wants that to be Kanan's saber. I get it.
now.
I get it. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's poetry in motion. The fact is that apprentice probably had that saber years before Order 66, right? She didn't find Kanan's saber and all this on Lothal and was like, oh, I'm going to take, no.
First,
Right.
Okay, so let's follow that line. They are
Shin don't look a day older than me. There's no. I don't believe Shin was born before Order 66 or even during the
She
whole.
was
No,
probably-
She hasn't been a Padawan for 30 years.
no, absolutely not. No, get that out of your head right now. She was born probably. That girl is probably at least.
Balin is Anakin's age. That's why
Yeah.
they're friends.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. I think they were younglings.
Start there.
together in the
So
academy.
Shin would be Ahsoka's age.
She
Shin may know Ahsoka.
Girl, she looked good for looking 40. She
Bro,
looking
I
good
think
for looking 40.
Balin was out
So
of them
Balin's
two.
like what, 70? Balin's
Who
70?
says that Shin had to be picked up as his apprentice before Order 66?
Right. Who said Balin was 70?
No, but
I
Balin,
was trying to
I'm
agree
saying
with you.
he's the same age
I'm-
as
yeah.
Oh,
'cause
he definitely is probably the same age as Anakin. I'm just saying
that's
I don't think
fucking
Shin
never
was
mind.
was a Jedi during the Jedi Order.
Unless-
I think
unless-
Balin
You're
was.
trying to back off.
unless she was
hear
a
this
youngling,
today.
unless she was like a young youngling, right? That's the only way that she could be. But I mean, ultimately, it seems like he picked her up along the way. That's why she's got Jedi braids. Like it doesn't seem like she was in Order 66 like Cal or Grogu or anything like that. If we get an Order 66 flashback, it's going to be Balin's. It's
Yeah.
going to be how he got out or what he did.
Listen, chat, you
before.
can't ask me about years or BBYs. I get all that shit wrong.
Listen. The only day that matters is 0 BBY.
Zero
okay?
BBY.
You don't remember 0 BBY,
Hell
then
yeah,
you
brother.
are an asshole. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Now go get yourself a Corona, go get your ukulele, and let's do this thing.
I'll have y'all failers know that we are currently at 9 ABY. Okay. Right now.
Well, okay, so that's a great point to make. We're at 9 ABY,
I don't think we are.
right? Well,
Bruh,
Yo, so hold on. We don't
work with me now.
We're getting a little
This is Ahsoka time frame, right? Ahsoka meets Din Djarin on what 9 10 BBY, right? I mean, or ABY.
So
Yeah, but
Shin
now
was
we-
alive during Order 66 or no? Can we go back
Ezra's
to
been
that?
missing for 10 years. Point
I'm
blank
gonna
period.
say no, man.
No.
I'm gonna say
So
no.
that's mind blowing. Hold up. We got to talk about that then. You're saying Balin left and then took her on as an apprentice,
Yes.
and she grew the braid from
Oh, Skynet.
Yes.
that point on this whole Sith,
You're in the
this
Matrix,
whole
brother.
Sith shit.
Oh, Skynet.
I don't know if they're Sith necessarily. Like
What their
I kind of want to
lightsabers
call
are.
them Dark Jedi, but I
Do
really
you think
don't
their
know.
approach is rule of two?
No.
Oh, that's a really good question.
That is a good question, but I don't. I honestly don't.
Because I have a lot
know,
of questions.
and
I
See,
thought
Me too.
my theory is that they're found sabers and that these two left the order together while 66 was happening, but I guess she's too young.
Yes.
Maybe.
I think so.
How
'Cause,
young
well,
is how young
so
is like
If
could
it
she have
is
been,
9
like,
ABY,
a youngling that escaped? Reva's age.
Well, she's
like
definitely
5.
Well, now
But I'm saying is
Reva-
she Reva's age?
No, but
Well, Reva is currently older than.
I'm trying to
No,
put it all
'cause
together.
Re-
She looks Reva's age, and Reva would have been her if Reva is her age. That Kenobi took place like 20 years before this.
Okay.
right, that's
Okay.
just it. Yeah.
So,
She
So
couldn't-
this chick is definitely a Force user that was found many years after Order 66.
or
and to-
or
Yeah.
outright his child.
holy
The
Mm.
order's gone. He stopped and fathered a child. She had the
So
Force.
he's been doing this for a long
Where's
time.
where's the mother?
Dead.
Talk,
Not
talk
everybody
to me.
makes it through childbirth, bro.
Talk to me
Like-
nice. We're not doing another Padme.
Well, I'm sticking to my theory. They're Jensari. I'm
mean,
sticking
look,
to
That
my
would be-
theory that
that
they
would be
are the
hard.
Jensari.
You gotta
It's gonna be a brand new order.
you gotta figure that.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds dope as hell. Tell me more.
So
Yo, what's even crazier is that they broke off during the Clone Wars.
right, here's the thing. Like everybody now, I'm gonna do my shit. Everybody is upset.
Hold on now.
I'll send you the link.
Too many Jedi left in the universe, okay? There was only supposed to be a couple, and Disney, Star Wars, and goddamn Kathleen Kennedy is ruining my Star Wars!
Well, I mean, that's true.
Two Jedi left!
Okay. So this is the crybaby argument from the other side of the aisle, right? That Star Wars is no longer authentic because there are too many Jedi left after Order 66. Okay. Now look, Endor Cordova was one that I did not expect to be alive.
No.
During
A surprise to be sure.
a surprise and a pleasant one to be sure. But I did not expect Endo Cordova to be alive. But what we forget is the reason that they say there were tens of thousands of Jedi in the universe, because there were only a certain sect that were guardian warriors, right? That would go out into the universe and almost police the citizens during the Republic. There were Jedi like Jocasta Nu that were intellectuals, that their whole existence was knowledge of the Force and cataloging that knowledge, right? But then there was a whole different class that people forget about, the exploration class. People like Endo Cordova that were given the right to go explore and find old temples of the Force and to bring that knowledge back to the intellectuals.
Or the bearish vow.
And I always assumed from episode 2 when Mace Windu said, "I will grab what Jedi we have left," that to me screamed, okay, so that whole 10,000 Jedi business got dwindled, and now we're looking at 500, 400, or whatever number was in Attack of the Clones.
That's what Jedi were of the fighting class, right? Not every Jedi was of the fighting class. So what Mace mentions there is he's like, I'm going to go grab what fighters are available.
I thought he was talking about the Jedi as a whole this whole time.
No.
There's so many Jedi too. I think that like, even if he could tell every single one of them in the galaxy, which is probably hard to do, I would think, it'd be hard for all of them to answer the call and make it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I think it was more, let me grab the Jedi that are at the temple ready to go, not ones that are in the middle of training, not younglings, not Padawans, not
or the
masters.
explorers,
makes-
or the bearish vowers.
Right.
Then there should be no reason for
That
the
guy was a
bitching.
badass.
So there's a lot of bitching. There's a lot of
Killa.
bitching because a lot of people want it to be the Luke Kenobi and Yoda show, and that's all that's left in the universe is these three Jedi, and that's it. And I understand that perspective, but to think, if you've ever tried to herd cats, okay, that is a difficult thing. And Jedi are just basically cats with lightsabers. Okay, it's hard to nail them down, it's hard to grab them, and when you got them, you can't always keep them. Right? They're a very difficult animal to get. If you think you got them all in one swoop, you are sadly mistaken. Right? the only Jedi that actually survived Order 66 and took on an entire battalion of clones is Ahsoka Tano. Right? Cal Kestis was saved by his master that sacrificed himself. Caleb Doom was his master sacrificed herself, right? Go down the ranks. Ahsoka Tano is the only one that battled her way completely through, took on an entire garrison of clones, and walked away.
I would say she did about as much as Obi-Wan and Yoda, because the two of them kind of escaped and then went back to the temple and fought, and they actually killed a bunch of clones where she was like, I ain't gonna kill them, they're gonna die from crashing, but
Kenobi didn't have to kill the 212, right? Kenobi didn't have to kill any member of the 212.
She didn't necessarily have to kill the 501st, but
well, no, the 332nd, those were her troops. They were not 501st. Those were now her troops. So that was a complete. They made the 332nd is Ahsoka's.
I didn't know they
I was about
reclassified
to
it. So
say,
my mistake.
They did.
You're forgetting about Seer Junda, ain't you? She far off clones too.
But did she survive?
Seer Junda?
Well, no, she turned.
That was
turned, Bo.
Oh, you're thinking
was
about Trilla.
No, I'm thinking about
No.
Seer. Seer gave up her Padawan, her younglings, and then escaped.
But that's not turning. That's just being an asshole. That's
No, she turned, bro.
Them eyes ain't yellow. She ain't turned.
There you go. That part.
Didn't survive and walk away though. She gave it up, got tortured, and escaped. That's not the same, right? Ahsoka literally fought off all her troops and then buried them, right?
Mm.
Like it she did something no one else did
Fact.
and walked away.
Why are fans so upset every time we find someone
know.
who survived? Like,
I have no idea.
You have to think about all of the simple like fact of the age range. Hold on, Obsession. Hold on. The age range of all of these people. There are Padawans in training on missions with their masters out in the universe right now. Things like
over 10,000 Jedi.
So I think of episodes of episodes of Visions, the Elder. There's a master and apprentice on a random planet and they find a Sith there and they take the guy out. Like, that stuff's happening all over. I want to meet a master and an apprentice who are a Jedi who find out about it through Obi-Wan's message. And that's all they know.
But that's just it. That's
Like,
not every Jedi.
We're gonna meet these people.
Not every Jedi was
give
in the
that to
mainstream
you
war,
in
right?
the Dune sequel with Yara Poof and Nisha, if you just be patient. But until then, we're going to focus on canon. All right, go ahead.
But I mean, literally, look, the idea is that the warrior class of Jedi is what got taken out during Order 66, right? And any Jedi on Coruscant. But ultimately, there were many, many Jedi scattered across the universe with no clones in sight, right? So not hearing the call that the order is gone for somebody like Endo Cordova that was already on a Zepho temple somewhere in the middle of the galaxy, no one knows where he is or who he is. They're not hunting him. So to find people like him all over the place, to have 100 Jedi survivors out of 10,000, that's 1%. That means the Empire was 99% successful. That is an astonishing rate. I will not give those stormtroopers to acquire. Now, maybe clones could have had like 90%. I'd give them a solid A, but 100% of a 10,000, like, do that manhunt in the United States. Let's get 10,000 motherfuckers. Let's put them in the middle of the country, right? And then let's do some manhunts and let's see if you get them all. There's going to be one or two motherfuckers that's going to hide in the grass under some dog shit that you're not going to know
thing
about,
is like we've
right?
had like 10 and there could easily be 100 out there.
Dude,
You know
you
what I
had
mean?
like
It's
10,
not that big of a deal, people.
That's 0.1%. Right? That's 0.1%.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. To cry over this, man, dude, I get it. I really do. I really do.
This is not what George Lucas planned, okay? George Lucas planned for Luke Skywalker to start a whole new order and be a hero, because we need a hero.
That is not what happened.
It is what he planned.
It is what he planned, and it's what he did. But
I'm talking about the canceled sequels he ain't never got to do. That brother was trying to have Luke go off and find 50 to 100 Jedi help start up his new school. Read it.
I mean, look,
research. It's there. Like,
that's just it. So at some point, the fandom needs to get over themselves as a whole.
Very much.
Agreed. Right? Because I don't mind being called a shill. That's fair. I like everything. I'm very easy on everything. But there's a point where reality sets in, and understanding that Dave knows Star Wars better than anybody that's currently functional in the arc, right? That's in the know, that's in the circle. George is the only person other than him that knows everything. And to think that, yeah, there's some stuff that George wasn't happy about during the sequels. I'll give you guys that. But I bet you if you ask him after Ahsoka how he feels about what Dave created, I think there's going to be I think there would be a very positive outlook on what he created, because George was around when Ahsoka was created. George helped Dave create this character. So I'm interested to see how the fans feel after Ahsoka's said and done. Because right now, the idea that a Mandalorian having force abilities is apparently making these people lose their goddamn minds.
Can I say a thing?
You can say whatever you want. This is an open space.
If they do that, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. I don't want it. I actually don't want the Force to awaken in a character like Sabine. I'd rather them save that for a character maybe even beyond Rey, past Rey. Like,
Can I ask
if we're going to
why?
start, because if we're going to start allowing that to take place in anybody, like Sabine has never shown any type of an elevated metachlorian, anything like that. They're going to do it to try to fit it into the story. I don't actually think it fits into her story. I think the Force and what the Force is, the Force will find its vessels. I think the vessels are in this story. It's Ahsoka, it's Ezra. I think Luke eventually will culminate into all of this Thrawn stuff as well. I think just adding that Force Awakens element into the show is not something that Dave maybe would do. I don't know. I'm
Well,
very
okay,
skeptical.
but at the same time, we've if you watch Rebels as many times as I have in the last month, and it has been excessive. I think I'm on my 5th watch of the last couple months. You watch the training that goes on with Ezra, Sabine, and Kanan, specifically with the Darksaber arc.
Mhm.
There are a couple of hints. Now, look, I think this is a little out of left field. I don't hate it, only because Sabine has always had a sixth sense about her. She's really in tune to the environment that surrounds her, and you could say that's just being a good warrior or whatever. But there's a couple of instances in her training with Kanan that really stood out to me after this trailer, and after I went through and watched that arc today. In fact, I watched the Kanan
That's
training
awesome.
arc, and there's a moment where she says the sword got lighter. Right, there's a point at which she is training with the Darksaber, and they're doing basic forms, and at one point she says, wow, it feels lighter. And
I think Kanan even says to her that you're connecting with it.
You're
You know what I mean?
right, you're connecting with it. That's how kyber crystals work. He doesn't explain that to her, but we know that. Right, so there's that moment, and then he's in that same training session, he's pushing her buttons. Right, he's antagonizing her, not only to release her burden and to help her with a little bit of therapy, but then all of a sudden she gets really pissed off, right, and really lets the anger go. And it's
Emotional.
very much like watching Luke with Vader. Right, he just kind of he gets pushed to a point where the rage takes over, and the power comes out. And she's basically, yes, you could say Kanan's given her the benefit of the doubt, but there's one point where she just kicks his ass, right? And he ends up on the floor, and he's kind of defenseless, and his saber's knocked out of his hand. There's a point there where you almost see, whoa, where did that come from? Right? It's almost that Rey moment where she feels the Force, what everybody hates so much, where she kicks Kylo's ass when she feels the Force. It's kind of one of those moments where she doesn't really know where that power came from. And then you see her against Gar Saxon. You see her handling the Darksaber with ease. Well, then you turn around and you see somebody like Din Djarin have the same amount of time with it, handling it like a sledgehammer, like a 2-year-old wielding a sledgehammer, right? And so there's to me, I feel like these, even in Mando, these pearls of wisdom or these breadcrumbs to potentially Sabine having some metachlorian count. But then you counter that with, well, fuck, is then Bo-Katan force sensitive because she wields the Darksaber with such ease?
That's what I was gonna say.
Is that how easy it is? So the
Well,
counter argument to that is fantastic also.
That's not, and I mean that's the thing though, is first of all, the Jedi Order was taken out, so there's so many force sensitives across the galaxy that nobody knows of, nobody can account for.
True.
We don't know who could be a force sensitive at this time because nobody had records of it.
Well, and the Mandalorians were not very hip to Jedi anyway.
Exactly, and
Like,
that was my whole point earlier. And I don't know if you
do
were
they smother or drown the babies that have force abilities. Like, is that
So that theory is that Sabine
that hardcore?
was. So you're just saying she could have been from birth and never was noticed.
So I don't know if
Is
you
that
were
what
here
you're-
when I was talking about it,
think-
Scotty, but I personally, again, the force is within every living being in Star Wars. How connected to it you are probably depends on your midichlorian count and how open to the force you are. Sabine is, I don't know what her midichlorian count looks like. It could be high, it could be low, it could be somewhere in the middle. I think she's just not open to it. And even if she is being trained as a Jedi and to use the Force, I think the whole freaking point, Scotty, is, and I'm kind of with you. I don't really want her to go full on be using the Force and become a Jedi, because I don't know if that's necessarily where Sabine's character should go. If it happens, I'm not opposed to it. I'm open to see where it goes. But I also think that she's a character that is so stubborn in her Mandalorian ways that she's not going to be able to wield the Force, and probably might not have the same midichlorian count. And so, Ahsoka's trying to take her on, but that could be the whole point of like the fact that part of the whole rift between them. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing. If I saw a character like Zeb randomly calling Ahsoka master and he starts having some high M count, I would feel exactly how you feel. But because I have seen with my own two eyes Sabine not only train with the Darksaber, which I believe if you train with the Darksaber, you deserve the Force anyway, but then I also see you get possessed by Dathomirian witches.
Oh, that's a really good point.
You know what I'm saying? They are very much in tune with their own side of the Force as well. Let's not forget that. They possess two beings, one which we know has the Force, Kanan, but you also possess.
That's an interesting point I didn't even think of, is the Dathomirian spirits. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. And that's
My
why
guy.
What?
That's exactly what the magistrate is. She's a Dathomirian. She's a Night Sister. I don't know if she's a Dathomirian, but you can see her, the little green flame, and it looks just like Baron's. And
Well,
just
I mean,
like
look at the
Night Sister magic.
Press. I mean, if you really want to get technical, Mother Townsend gave him force abilities through the Night Sister magic. So that's
With the green flame.
That's a really interesting point, because he wasn't possessed by. I mean, yeah, his body and his structure was possessed by that. That's a really interesting point. I'm very curious. Look, this is all up in the air. I'm with you guys. Sabine not having, look, it could have been something as simple as Sabine is a perfectionist as a warrior, right? As a Mandalorian, she is a bit of a perfectionist. She is a weapons specialist. She specifically tells these guys, I know how to handle a sword. Give me the sword, whatever. She learns her place, learns how to wield the Darksaber. Now, I could see Sabine wanting Ahsoka to train her in the forms of lightsaber combat, and that being why she calls her master, right? Not necessarily because she was teaching her how to use the Force, but because she was teaching her how to use the forms, and as a matter of respect, she calls her master, right? Much like any martial artist would call their teacher sensei or master or whatever. So there is that turn of foot, which I could totally see them doing. However, I really like the idea of Sabine and Ezra having a secret connection, right? I don't know why. Here's the other side of the argument. I'm arguing both sides because I really don't care. I like it either way.
Same.
But to argue the side of her not being force sensitive, why was she around Kanan for so long and Kanan never saw it?
Who's to say he
I
didn't?
think he did, though. That's the whole thing.
Why
like
he was pushing her, because he saw something.
It's not that he was pushing her.
Before Ezra showed up, when he was a hidden Jedi, when only a couple people knew about his saber. I'm talking about before Ezra showed up and the tinglies go off and he wants to be a teacher again.
Well,
It-
then,
was he turned off from the Force? Is that why? Because Yoda makes that statement where when him and Kane, when Yoda and Kanan are having a conversation in the temple, he, he said a specific thing. He's like, before I couldn't see you and now I can.
Yep.
Right. Yoda says because he was, and Kanan even says, I was completely closed off to the Force. Right.
yeah.
So because he was completely closed off from the Force, could he not sense Sabine's Force ability?
Yes.
And then Ezra awakens Kanan's, brings him back into the fold, and all of a sudden he's too focused on Ezra and the mission at hand to notice Sabine's Force ability.
It's because Ezra and Sabine
Don't
are the
say that.
current
Don't say
dyad,
that.
man.
I love that too, because I was talking. Look, I know everybody hates the word, and I didn't use the word in that stream, but I was talking about this in the other stream that I was having. Was there's love beyond love, right? There's sibling love, there's family love, there's intimate love, but then there's love beyond love. There's a
Mhm.
person in the world that you are connected to, soulmates, dyad, call it what you want. I don't think these two were meant to be husband and wife, to be intimate with one another, even though Ezra really wanted that. You could sense he just had that crush. But I think at one point he sees beyond that crush and realizes this is my other person, right? This is the person that makes me better to be around. And I want, it's beyond love. It's beyond intimacy. It's just a feeling. And I didn't want to use that word because I know people hate that word so much, but they're connected, not by the Force, by the dyad, by the ability to use the Force together, but by something bigger than them, right? That's why she feels this innate responsibility to protect his homeworld, right? To constantly think about him, because it's bigger than brother and sister. It's bigger than love. It's more. And did Ezra sense the Force ability in her? Is that why he, left his saber for her? And there's just so much. I mean,
My biggest
Din Bridger,
thing-
here you go. Din
My
Bridger.
biggest thing with Sabine is that the amount of time she spent with the dark saber, I think, is going to make her more proficient with a normal saber. We
I
know
agree.
very little about the dark saber, but what we do know is that you need to actually work at connecting to it to be able to wield it like a feather. You know what I mean? That's not the case with a borrowed kyber. And
Well,
like you're saying, I mean, Ezra's kyber itself may even influence some of the things she's doing. Not to the point where she has force abilities, but it may recognize that she has this passion for him, and everything that she's doing is driving her to the point to get to him.
We already have some history with her using the saber to beat Gar Saxon too, when he was wielding the
right,
dark
exactly.
saber. So, I mean, to your guys' point, that's totally possible and probable to be honest, because of the fact that she does have kind of a connection to the blade already, and heck, maybe he did leave it to her because he knew that she could unlock those force abilities. I really don't know, but I think to go back to the whole Kanan thing and how he maybe didn't realize. You said it earlier again, but like it was funny to me because I watched those episodes right before the trailer dropped on my rewatch, and it was like, well, that was perfect timing. And the first thing I kept going back to was Kanan's conversation with Hera, where she's like, talking to her, and it almost reminds me of the same conversation Ahsoka's having with her.
It's the same verbiage. Ahsoka is discussing it from a removed standpoint, right? Hera and her talking about this way after the fact. Kanan is talking about it in the moment, and he's literally saying like, she's so stubborn and done and so Mandalorian, right? Like they're literally saying the same thing, because she is a difficult student. She's not an easy student. She's rambunctious. She's rebellious. She wants to conform to her way.
She's got trust issues.
Yeah, dude, it's a tough sell. I mean, the only reason I think this would be interesting for her to have a Force Awakens moment, maybe this is Dave's way of saying Rey works.
This is how I would have done it.
This Rey works, right? Like the idea of Rey's Force unlocked, the Force awakening in her and Finn is possible. And here I'm going to, as the apprentice of George Lucas, I'm going to show you how it's done. Right? This can totally be one of those moments.
At Celebration, the very first thing Dave said, because he's coming from filming back and forth. He said the very first thing he said about it is like he's seen a full episode and it was like a religious experience.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't scream like some kind of enlightenment, I think he's probably talking about Ahsoka, but I don't know, man. I'm struggling with the people who are like, I had this whole conversation about people not being hyped about this show in particular because of the track record. And I'm like, bruh, this is not even close to any of the other things. Multiple directors, multiple people. So like, bro, wrote every single episode of this.
It's a Dave Filoni project.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like everything this man has done in animation, in consulting, in all the promotions, he is the blue collar homie sitting right next to me, starting here. That's where he has made it to now. Through hard work, through being the animator. Now he's being able to take all of the lessons he's learned and make his own full live action shit with it. And y'all are worried?
Well, look, I mean, I
don't know, man. I can't follow.
So is this going to be the let's say if
pinnacle Disney right here?
If season 7 of Clone Wars was the closing chapter in that story, is this show going to be the closing story in Rebels?
Hell yeah.
It's going to be written and shot the exact same quality.
It's supposed to be literally the season of Rebels we never got.
Season 5, like the title says. Will Ahsoka be the Rebels sequel? Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. It is, and the best part is, I think you're right. It could be the beginning, at least, of the end. To me, what we've seen in the trailer so far, this show screams multiple seasons. Like it literally screams like there's no way Dave Filoni is going to be like, all right, 8 episodes and that's it. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm really glad you brought that up. I'm really glad because I wanted to segue to a hot topic, but finish your statement. I wanted to segue to a hot topic.
So to me, it screams multiple seasons, and the fact that Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati are named after Skoll and Hati, the wolves of Ragnarok that start the beginning of the end. I think that's kind of a hint to the fact that this is kind of the beginning of the end of that story, or maybe even of Ahsoka's story.
So I've been mulling this around for a while. And as we're talking about multiple seasons of this show, possibly a Kenobi season 2, possibly, and Andor is up to 3 seasons, possibly a Boba Fett season 2. Boba Fett season 2 should be the story of Jango Fett. But is The Mandalorian done? I personally think that the story, the show, The Mandalorian has shot its last episode. I think they wrapped it up in such a tight bow. There's nowhere to go. And I think we're done.
I think Den's story's done, but they're gonna keep doing stuff with like we just said her name. What is her name? Bo-Katan. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but my point is the show The Mandalorian is not the Bo-Katan show. It's not the Grogu show. It's called
sort of the Din Djarin. I mean,
who says The Mandalorian is solely
it's transcended that.
The show has been the story of Din Djarin.
Yeah.
Whether that's finding a little buddy, sidekick, Grogu, Din Bridger. The story of Din Bridger.
That's where it's going. We've talked about this.
I look, again, I'm about it, but is this the end of that show? Is this the end of the show? Because to me, the way everything got wrapped up in a nice clean bow, and then you do the Mickey Mouse bullshit, I'm sorry, man. It kind of feels like that's a wrap.
To be honest, I did not think it was going to end. Even now, John at one point said he was already writing season 4. So I definitely think there's possibilities to future stories with them in their own show in The Mandalorian season 4. However, with the whole writer strike, actor strike, to bring it full circle, that seems a little less likely to be happening anytime soon. We have a Filoni movie that's supposed to maybe culminate all of this in just 3 years. So maybe It
doesn't
could
feel
be.
that far away,
Written
does it?
and actually getting greenlit for production are two very different things,
Yes.
right? So yeah, Favreau says it's written, and you may
Yeah,
have
And the-
Superman Legacy is written, but they ain't.
I mean, granted, it is their probably best selling Disney Plus show, although a lot of people were controversial about season 3 because it's Star Wars. And
Mhm.
if we're being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Din Djarin's story that's written gets kind of changed around to fit into Ahsoka, into Skeleton Crew, into all these other kind of shows, and then we get kind of maybe a culmination of his story in the Filoni movie that's coming in 2026 or 7.
Yeah.
Bro,
later
whatever
now.
whatever show is catching all the other little pieces of like the new Republic, the guys over here, like wherever that ends up being way over there is gonna be dope. They could do like 50 seasons of it.
That's
Just
they
like
gonna
all the
do.
misfit
They
toys.
won't. I wish. I want to get
Oh,
50
man.
seasons of the Ahsoka show.
Totally.
I know, and I think we're not gonna get a whole lot. They're pulling back on a bunch of that stuff.
The
So,
best
Apparently.
for is the heir to the Empire.
You know
did you
what's-
guys hear that it might also be sold to a large company?
Yeah,
Apple?
we
Talk about
talked briefly about that, but I don't
Yeah.
see that.
The Apple just wants production facilities and technology. They don't care. They don't care about Lucasfilm as a whole. They want Disney's patents. They want Disney's production.
Oh, of course.
facilities.
Well, I think it's very possible now because they are looking into Microsoft and their purchase, and that purchase was approved, but it's also being challenged. So I think it's possible that Disney could be sold. I think it's very possible, especially with the loss they're taking. And he's literally talking about limiting spending and limiting.
I was
making.
gonna. So I wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
With that whole thing, it's so funny that he says that, and there's all this stuff planned out. And granted, with all the strikes and him and his comments, with all that stuff going on, it's like, dude, your contract's up. The brand new contract he just signed is up in 2026. If he does actually find a successor and they don't sell or whatever, he doesn't really have a say in what they make at that point afterwards anyway. And Star Wars stuff is already slated to 2026.
You want me to ring the bell real quick and put in a hot take out there? Here, okay. What if Bob leaves? Kathleen takes Bob's job. And then ruins Marvel like she ruined Disney.
First of all, I doubt that.
Come on, man. That would be the haters' worst nightmare.
That would be hilarious.
That would be everybody. Kathleen Kennedy's enemies would literally lose their mind. Like,
Not
I'm
good
still
for the
waiting.
job,
Look,
though.
I say it all the time. I like Josh at the Den of Nerds. I know a lot of people are controversial on Josh. I like Josh. I think he's funny. But Josh was like, I'm going to throw a party. I'm going to throw a party if Kathleen gets fired after Indy flops. Well, Indy kind of flopped according to the spoofers and leakers. I hear the Rotten Tomatoes was like 8 thumbs up, but according to Money, didn't do well. And she still has a job. So,
You know who else they didn't like? Bob Chapek.
yeah.
See who he brought back?
Yeah.
A guy who said he literally couldn't be a weatherman, bro. You can't just look at a map and go, that's a cloud. Like he's quoted saying he couldn't actually do the job of being a weatherman. And now he's running the shit.
Again, I'm just saying.
I don't
like,
think he has a terrible bone in his body, I'll be honest.
If Bob leaves and Kathleen gets a promotion, dude, I will die. I will throw a party and die because everyone will lose their mind, because then Kathleen can ruin Marvel the way she's ruined Star Wars, apparently. And that would be hard to do because Marvel's ruined themselves over the last couple of years. But yeah, so I find it funny.
You and your Marvel hate.
Marvel honesty.
I'm just kidding. Relax.
Marvel
relax.
honesty. I love it. Oh, I love Marvel. I think I've been watching Secret Invasion and I'm like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then everybody's like,
that new episode coming on tonight.
everybody's like,
Man, you're an asshole! Secret Invasion sucks! Quit saying stupid things!
that's all I hear. So I'm having fun. I mean, look, I was pumped up. Extremis got brought back into the Marvel universe. They're using it in a fun new way. Like I was, dude, I'm pumped, man. This is cool.
Scrolls have superpowers.
Scrolls have superpowers. Apparently, scrolls are everywhere. Like, Rhodey.
I think it's cool.
Rhodey's
The
Skrull.
Rhodey thing definitely was a disappointment just
I'm
because of
sorry,
the way
I
they
would be
revealed it.
cutting. Look, I'm sorry, but if I was Nick Fury, I would take a bunch of hedge clippers with me. I'd bring some pruning shears
Cutting
everywhere
off
with me,
hands.
and I'd start cutting fingers off everybody. Be like, you want to prove you're not a skull? I need a fingernail right now. Okay, fine. Your pinky toe. I need a piece right now. There goes Dan Eaton, motherfucker. Always eating in my streams. I'd be cutting pieces off, my guy. I'm sorry. I'd be like, you got to sacrifice something to let me know you're not a Skrull. Let's go. Something, an earlobe, right? I got big fat earlobe. You can take a piece of my earlobe, but I'd be proving people's not a Skrull. I'm sorry. Nick Fury is like straight coward status right now. I'm sorry.
If Nick Fury is revealed to be a Skrull, then every damn body in the show is a Skrull.
No, I think he's the only one that's not a Skrull. Him and Colby weren't Skrulls. That's my only take.
I think there's some scenes where we are watching a Skrull Fury, but I'm not sure.
Well, no, they're saying that's because this Fury's like last contingency plan.
Yeah, exactly. That's a Fury thing, though. He definitely. I mean,
It would make sense for it, but I don't want it to be because that means, God damn, don't make everybody a Skrull, please.
I think he's going to be the only one that.
Yeah.
That isn't.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the only one that we're surprised isn't. Like, they're just everywhere, right? Like, it's great. But I mean, when Rhodey's a Skrull, man, that's it. It's like game over. Like that's the guy. And I'm sorry,
It's not chilling.
What's that?
It's not.
I mean, look, Feige. Feige has.
I've been
look,
saying this too.
Feige did a really great job at Marvel for a long time, and I think he just ran out of ideas. I just think he ran out of ideas.
Oh, you done pissed him off now.
The ideas aren't even his. Let him come back and drop that bomb on him. Well, let him come back and put the headphones on. I got another one for him.
Yeah. Oh no. Wait.
It's gonna get good.
Yeah.
I don't want to end the stream abruptly though. So
here you go.
Yeah. You coming back? I think you
right. Come on.
He had to go scream it out.
Yeah, you're right here.
I mean, they're not even his ideas. They're Stan Lee. Shouldn't Stan Lee be directing, not Kevin Feige? It's not the
Stan Lee's dead.
I know
love Stan Lee, but he's dead, dude. Come on.
I was gonna say these ideas aren't his either. He's just pulling from the comics wherever he feels.
I think
For sure, but
first of
all,
yeah, I went there.
Feige's still the GOAT.
Feige's doing a good job, man. I'm just busting Feige.
I know you are.
I just don't
How
want.
come he doesn't get dragged though?
Take. I don't want Feige in Star Wars. That's my real hot take. I don't want Feige in Star Wars.
I don't even think it's Feige's. If you did not like Phase 4, which first of all, I think there's a reason Phase 4 was the way it was and everything with Marvel. And I know we're going on a tangent with Marvel now.
That's all right, we got a couple minutes.
But if you think that it's desaturated, blame it on Disney wanting them to make freaking a million shows under Chapek, because that dude was like, give me all the TV shows, and then
not to like though. I mean, Loki was fun.
Oh, I like them, I do, but that's what I'm saying. If you want to say that Feige's,
it took me 3 tries.
It's not as good.
It took me.
Oh, he delegated it all out, so it wasn't his fault. Didn't you know that?
It took me 3 tries to get through the Scarlet Witch show. WandaVision. It took me a bunch of tries.
Shocking because a lot of people like that one.
That was hard for me to get through. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was also a tough sell. Loki was super dope.
My favorite. Loki's amazing.
Loki was super dope. A lot of surprises. Didn't expect it to be that good. I haven't really minded any of the Marvel shows. I'm just hard on Marvel because I don't want Feige to come to Star Wars. That's my only.
I'm just hard on Feige because the directors get dragged when Marvel's trash, but Kathleen Kennedy gets dragged for everything that's trash over at Star Wars.
Well, yeah, they don't blame people like Robbie Rod or Favreau that write this stuff. They blame Kathleen in Star Wars. Yeah. They don't blame Feige for shit.
But Feige gets a pass on every goddamn thing. It's so tiring. It's so tiring.
That boy Steve. Moonlight, dope. Shang-Chi, dope. She-Hulk I found it to be funny because everybody really hated it. I didn't see Guardians yet. I'm watching this. Look,
Guardians is amazing.
There's like 2 or 3 base hits in there, maybe a foul ball or 2, but really they're okay shows. Moonlight
they're liked by a majority of the people who like the other MCU stuff.
KK,
it's not like it's DC or anything.
Phase 1 through 3 for Star Wars.
Hey, that's old news, man. That's old. Can we move on?
Yeah. Can we move on? I haven't seen the Flash movie yet, and Oliver Twitty.
It was good.
Really? All over
I had
Twitter,
fun.
all I've
lot of
seen
people
is
think it was
people throwing clips up, but
Oh,
God,
yeah,
the
it's on
freaking
digital now, so the
CGI
whole thing's
looks
spoiled.
gross. Oh goodness.
Yeah, okay, look, I'm real easy on shows. I'm not a hard sell. I'm a shill for
Oh, but I'll
show's
probably
sake.
enjoy it if I sit down and
But
watch it.
honestly, if it kept me in the theaters, I didn't get up to go pee in the middle of the movie. That's how you could tell the movie is decent to me. If I'm like, this sucks, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. But like when you're doing the potty dance in your chair, waiting for like, God, will you hurry up? Because dude, they paid so much great homage to like the old the Wests, the Reeves, all of the old Supermans from the black and white era, like all that stuff. They really did a great job of paying homage to those old guys. It was really great.
People are ignoring this still. With performance and money, people are still ignoring this, and they shouldn't.
Look,
People
honestly,
don't want to go to the movies as much, bro. They don't.
I enjoy the movies, but look, I'm not gonna lie. I just watch Transformers.
People don't want to sit in a crowded theater.
I
think that's general for the general audience. I think that's true. For those of us that are big diehards, we'll go see the movies that we want to go see. Like
I just
if you're not
Barbie and
someone who's already
Oppenheimer,
been
fine, give me the tickets. I'll go see
if you're
Barbie
not a
and
cinephile
Oppenheimer.
already,
I'm finna see.
But look, I just
right here on my
watched Transformers last night here at home. I'm still paying the same amount I would for 2 tickets going to the theater. So I think streaming should be, these stream dollars should be added to that grand total of.
Just see Mission Impossible for the free ski on my laptop. Why I gotta go to the theater?
I mean, there's certain movies I will always see in the theater, right? There's certain ones that, like, if a Star Wars movie comes out, I'll always go to the theater multiple times. That's just a given. I want to go see Indy on the big screen while it's still out. I watched The Flash because honestly, somebody else wanted to go to the movies, and there was that or something really boring.
It has to be an event for me. Like
Right.
it has to be like an in-game Infinity War type of thing for me to go out now.
See,
well, I mean, during COVID, we went to the drive-in. Like we still went and did the box office stuff, but we went and sat in the drive-in and had our experience in a different way. So, I mean, that's how I watched the Spider-Man, the Toby Spider-Man.
The No Way Homes, my boy.
I still enjoy going to the theater. Like during COVID, obviously you couldn't go as much. It was like a little more sketch because you didn't want to sit next to people or whatever the case is. But like AMC in particular has kind of upped up their seating arrangements, their all their different things. And in my opinion, like going to the movies is still a fun experience that if you're going to spend the same amount at home, you might as well go actually enjoy the experience and go out. And like, if you have a family or something, that's like a bonding thing to go out there and see the movies. I always had bonding moments going with my family to go see Star Wars or whatever was in theaters. So that we were, interested in seeing. So Dodgeball's great.
How dare you make me bleed my own blood?
But yeah, I still think for the experience, it's worth going. And if it's a movie you want to see, but I get what you guys are saying with that, like in terms of the streaming and Bob Iger,
it has to factor into the overall everything that people are debating as far as like the amount of money a movie is going to make.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not always going to necessarily contribute to the box office score. I'm gonna see it at home a week or two later. That should contribute to those scores, right? Like it should be box office and initial week of digital release should be what they calculate. Because for me, I watched it the day after it released. I'll do the same thing. There's another one coming out in a couple of days.
Then that's where the issue with the whole writer strike thing is again, and the actor strike is the fact that like as soon as they go on to streaming, it's though it's more convenient for a lot of us.
Here's why a lot of people blew up Scarlett Johansson, because she got fucked. Like, you really want to talk about actors that got fucked out of their paydays. Scarlett Johansson, if that movie would have aired when it was supposed to air in between 2 movies, it would have box officed way fucking bigger. But the fact that they pushed it and it waited till the COVID era,
and after her character was dead,
and after the character was dead, fucked her big time. So yeah, things like timing, bro. Timing is everything in the world. And she had to go to court because she was like, look, if this would have released in between movies like it was supposed to release, this would have been fire. But the fact that my character's dead, nobody gives a shit, and it's streaming instead of being
at the same time as being on theaters.
Speaking of fucked, wait till you see what they do to the Hulk.
And then they don't show the streaming numbers, and that's the whole big
That's the
issue.
thing.
It's like because you can't really keep track of it,
Yeah.
especially if they're not giving it to
That's
you.
what I'm
Like
saying. I
Sean
think
Gunn is trying to hit him on that. It's
That-
like,
that-
how you
as it
talking about
should be.
residuals? We don't even know how much you guys are actually getting.
Exactly,
We
and
literally don't know the number of what where the ceiling ends, bro.
and
That's crazy.
That's it. And that's why that's why these strikes are happening all the time. That's why it's just a rolling set of dominoes, because first it was the IATSE crew, then it was writers, now it's the actors. Everybody needs these contracts. This stuff had to happen. It has to happen for the people that are putting their time in to make these shows and movies that you guys love, and to also protect them from getting robbed by the studios that they work for. So there's a lot that goes into this. Everything that we like right now is put on hold, and that should worry you, and that should make you want to write, tweet, call anybody that you can that's involved in this, and show them your support. Because listen, people like me are sitting on the bench right now. There are technicians all over the country that are working on everything from the new Walking Dead series to Andor 2, all the way to new movies that are coming out. You know, it could be the next Sex in the City, whatever it is. This affects all of us that watch and love television. But most of all, it affects the actors that are going on, the crew that is shooting this stuff, because as of this week, now all of those people are now out of work. I don't know how the unemployment stuff works for these kind of, I'm sure there's unemployment rights for these kind of delays and these kind of things, because it's not the crew member's fault or the actor's fault that this happened. But that stuff only lasts a certain amount of time. It's only a certain little bit of money. And really, we need to be supporting these people to get them back in the studios, to get them back in the lab with their pen and the pad and putting these shows together for us. We should be supporting that. We should not be yelling and cursing them because this is Hollywood woke wanting more money. This is Hollywood trying to da-da-da. No, this is about the little guy. And if you think something different, I'm more than welcome to have this conversation with you. I'm more than welcome to bring people on that are sitting on their ass right now that were working on your Star Wars shows, that are jeopardizing our Star Wars shows, because this stuff is going on, because the corporations don't want to give the little guy what we're due. So if you have a problem with any of that, you're more than welcome to write in the Discord, or you want to have a conversation on stream. I'm more than happy to do that. But this is a big thing, and unemployment doesn't go as far as you think it does when you're living in these bigger markets. So with that being said, we're going to cut it. It's been a couple hours. It's been good to have the band back together, to have everybody here. I kind of wanted to keep this a little more mellow this week. And I think if we do this again next week, I want to do this stuff until Ahsoka premieres. I'm going to try to do Tuesdays and more streaming, talking about, speculation and this stuff, but I want to talk more about the early years. So we're going to go back a long way. We're going to go back to season 1 of Clone Wars, and we're going to start to dissect the Ahsoka character and the years that people really didn't like her, found her annoying, all the way up to the years where we see her get her second saber, all the way through Tales of the Jedi, where we really get an insight as to why she is the way she is, leading up to what I think is possibly going to be Dave Filoni's great. This is going to be the greatest symphony that he's ever written. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. Go ahead.
Something. One word answer. Do you think we will get a Plo Koon flashback? I say yes.
Yes, because they already have the mask from when they tried to spoof everybody, so they don't have to create the mask. I'm going to say yes.
Spark the question, so I'm a yes on it.
If the World Between Worlds is in it, that would be dope. You just get a little walk by of her going by a window that has a little peek into their first meeting or whatever the case is. Did I just die?
That would be dope.
Am I still alive?
You're in the Matrix a little bit.
You're a little bit. Skynet's got
what just happened?
But yeah, so we're gonna close it off while Skynet's getting everybody. But the answer, I think yes, because they got the mask already. I hope you all have a good day. Don't forget, get out there and support these other content creators. These guys are doing hard work every single day, just like all of us are. So Hawks Holocrons Gaming, get up there. I made a new graphic. I wasn't sure if it was just going to be him and I, so I made a new graphic for us tonight. We didn't get to use, but we'll use it again soon.
Bring back the Hawkwood obsession soon.
Dan the Man, we're going to do it. Dan the Man, thank you for coming out and hanging out. I know you're in the mix just as much as the rest of us. I hope your project is going well. Get over there and support Dan on all his social medias and so on. And then, of course, my guy, Sheev over here, make sure to get down and subscribe and help him get remonetized because YouTube be fucking with him. So on that note, anybody else? Last thoughts? Anything?
Peace and love.
Okay, I like that.
Wait, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. All right, let's close this out real quick. All right, everybody. So as always, thank you for hanging out with us here. Don't forget, get out there, get your pet spayed, neutered, help control the pet population. Don't forget, tell your loved ones, friends, family, animals, anybody that you care about how you feel, because you never know what tomorrow could bring. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. May